Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alexander Williamson here with the secret history living inside your aquarium. So, today we're going to be talking about some of the most common fish that are in the hobby. They may be some of the first fish you've ever kept, or maybe you're keeping them now. I mean, even very, very advanced fish keepers still love and keep these fish. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the neon blue tetra and the green neon tetra and the Cardinal Tetra and many varieties thereof in between and related to those. So what you may not know about them is that they're actually wild caught in some places. There's awesome institutions like Project Piaba, where native South American indigenous people actually work together with conservationists and fisheries scientists, and they figure out how many they can catch, and they catch them, and they have a sustainable harvest annually, and it employs over 80,000 people in South America, specifically in Brazil. Now, the other ones are also collected by local Brazilians and Venezuelans and Colombians, being the green neon tetra, but that lives mostly in black water, in darker water, a little bit farther north, and a little bit cooler water generally. Now, the Cardinal Tetras, they kind of have a range that overlaps all of them, but overlaps the traditional blue tetra, the blue neon tetra that you probably seen a million times. And in this video, I'm going to show you each tetra. We're going to talk a little bit about its Latin name, and I'm going to show you towards the end some really rare variants that are hardly ever seen in the US, and some that are becoming more common, but you're going to actually see the double veil tail long fin neon tetras swimming around in a tank of mine. You're going to see the albino versions, the leucistic versions, and you're also going to see the wild versions. You know, the domestic versions tend to have a stubbier body, and the wild ones tend to have more of a lean physique but very bright colors. And the domestic ones have coloration that can change a little bit from that of the wild ones. But hopefully after the end of this video, you'll know a whole lot more about these awesome fish, their care, water parameters, what makes them different from one another, and which one's right for you, and what's out there, what's coming, what you want to ask your local fish store if they can get in stock. And so we're going to start this off with just a quick little slideshow of a few different examples of how far domestication or line breeding of these fish has come in the hobby in the last 30 years. And then we'll jump right into looking at the actual fish in person. So let's get going. Alright everybody, this is what everybody's used to seeing, and if you don't want to watch this whole video, I'm going to break down the biggest differences right now between the three main species we're talking about, the neon blue tetra, the green neon tetra, and the Cardinal Tetra, and then the variations therein of each. So this is your typical wild blue neon tetra, and if we go through, you can see here is a green neon tetra. Sometimes they will have actual solid red up into their belly, up to their anal fin, and sometimes they'll have this little pigment. Sometimes they'll kind of have a blue color, but usually if they have blue surrounding this area or more solid red here, that will be a line bred domestic raised type. And as we look through, you can see more modifications. Here is a typical blue neon tetra, where you see the big white belly, the long fins, and this is actually one of mine. We'll get to see them swimming and interacting, and we'll talk about some special issues if you're going to get these, how to care for them, where you can get them, the only place I know where to get them in the United States, and that they're a new fish line. So yet again, the blue neon tetra is different from this fish, the green neon tetra, because these kinds can totally be missing the red. The Cardinal Tetras will have red all through here. The only red you may see in some of them is just blood through the cheeks and gills. And this is a natural occurring variant of them. Just some collection points look like this, and they'll have a turquoise color like this up here. If you look at them from above in natural cool light or sunlight,
and from the side it should look blue, and sometimes it looks pretty darn royal blue. Sometimes it can look more like this. Now this is a different one, and this is from Aqualog. This is a different variant, and this is years and years of domestic breeding. This has the diamond head feature and the iridophores or sparkliness bred into it. It has the extra red, and the caudal peduncle has lots of red extending into the caudal fin. There's blue and metallic sparkles extending into the long fins, and you can just see that humans have really tinkered with things. Now here, this is likely a leucistic, not a true albino, but neon blue tetra. It's got the red leftover, which when washed out looks kind of like an orange color, so maybe the yellow and just blood in their body, like it is here, mixes and kind of looks a little red to us, but really all the color is gone. So this is kind of a clear version rather than an albino version. So something between a platinum and a clear version. Now platinum would be if it's all silver, and that can happen to all three species. So it adds to why these are so tricky to identify. Now here is a neon, a blue neon tetra, and it would be very hard to tell which tetra this is. You can get swindled in this hobby, and people take blue neon tetras and breed them and spend years and years to get it just right. And this isn't full albinism because the eye is blue, which I think looks nice. These are sometimes called gold as well, or platinum, or pearl scale, depending on where you buy them. But be aware that you could get a black neon tetra or some other tetra altogether with a different disposition, temperament, and maybe not even schooling. Maybe it'll grow too big and it just won't fit in. And then on the far end of what humans modify, as I mentioned, we've got the kind of goldfish body. We've also got what they call balloon body, which is a trait that some people actually want, as well as this bend in the spine and the extra large, the double veil size fins. Some people are very against this. It can come with some health issues that we'll see and talk about in the video later when I show you the footage of these in person. And then we come to the neon tetra's doppelganger oftentimes, which is the Cardinal Tetra. Red all the way through, a little bit broader of a body, and a good chance that this could be a domestic line with the red being so vivid and dark right here. But if we look further on, if we keep going, you can see another metallic variant of the blue neon tetra. And then in the Cardinal Tetra that we were just talking about, you can see that this red can be just so vivid, and we can have kind of a silver or white or gray up here, as well as the blue that kind of is an oblong diamond shape or tapered at either end and crosses through the eyes. Those are kind of the giveaways. Now if the red extends farther back into the fins or into these other fins, this here, these fins are a little longer, and this is likely a domestic variant compared to what you find in the wild, like these, where the fins are much less noticeable, but also they're much smaller. If you can make them out, the fin is right there compared to this whole fish, and she's probably just a female holding eggs. So you've seen lots of variants going on here. There's the diamond head, there's the true albino, or maybe it's a true albino but it has the red gene still. You can be missing any one pigment or lack any pigment but one or two. There's lots of combinations out there. So let's get into it. Let's look at these fish for real, moving around, and talk about their care, and you'll be able to tell them all apart by the end of this video. But if this was enough info for you, I hope that you enjoyed it. You can like, you can subscribe, or you can just move along your day. Have a good one. Now, let's go on location to Aquarium Zen and some of my tanks.
Alright guys, so we're looking at the Cardinal Tetra, and this is a beautiful fish. These ones have been fed really well, they're growing really well, they're healthy. They're going to be the biggest of these that we're going to go through and name, that are all kind of similar looking tetras, between the neon tetra, the neon blue and green, and the Cardinal here, as well as the diamond and longfin tetra that also are variants of the neon blue tetra made in captivity. But these are just a stunning fish that from above you still see a turquoise and blue. Beautiful, beautiful coloration. There's a reason they're one of the more popular fish in the hobbies, and they've got that red that runs the entire length of their body. That red line runs the entire length of their body, and they are found in several places around South America, but you will predominantly find them in the warmer waters of the Orinoco and Rio Negro River, Black River, because of all the sediment and other leaves and biomaterial going on in there, breaking down and creating tannins. So these fish really tend to like a diverse set of environments. They can take all the way down to 3 pH. That's that really tannin rich black water. But they can also take all the way up to around an 8.5 if you've got harder water, because there's areas that have limestone and more sediment in the water where they're also found alongside angelfish in the wild as well. And quite frankly, alongside a lot of this Rotala and Ludwigia that's in this tank also. So these fish, the scientific name for them is the Paracheirodon axelrodi, named after Axelrod, who started the Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine. And these fish, like I said, have that red that run all down the length of their belly, and the blue that runs pretty much the full length all the way to their caudal peduncle. No red on the fins, on the dorsal fins, or any other fins at all either. Just on that tail fin and all down the belly, and it's most vivid of maybe any fish that you can find. But these were discovered in 1956 by L.P. Schultz, and they are just a great addition to any aquarium or vivarium, riparium, and they are a smaller fish, still probably in the nano realm, maybe slightly bigger than nano, but they usually don't get bigger than 1.5 to 1 inches, depending on where they're from collection point wise and how they're fed and their age. But a great fish that I highly recommend you check out. All right, we are looking at another amazing fish, and this is the green neon tetra, also known as the Paracheirodon simmulans, or simmulanus as it was once called. But these are a beautiful fish that is blue from directly parallel to their side, and from above they're a lovely green turquoise color that you can see in real life much better than on film, but you can kind of see here that turquoise. Now these guys are down in a group that's smaller than their normal amounts. You'd find them by the thousands, and they live in the warmer heart of the Amazon rainforest, as well as Venezuela. You can find them in northern Venezuela, or northern Brazil and the southern Venezuela, and they're just a beautiful fish, a little smaller than the Cardinal Tetra, and they'll inhabit waters with a pH very low, down to 3.0, or as high as around 7.5 happily. Now if you want them to breed, you want to use that lower pH for sure, and a lower TDS, or total dissolved solids. But the way to tell these apart from the others is there is red on them, but it only runs half the length of their body, and the top of their body and their upper half of their body, if we can get this to focus here, is red. So it's similar to the Cardinal Tetra, but that blue is much more predominant. You can see there though that that top half of their belly is a beautiful red halfway, but it doesn't run back and throughout the fin. The fins are all translucent on these neon green tetras. So beautiful fish, definitely worth keeping, and definitely a lot of fun. Alright guys, so here we are at the most popular fish in the hobby, the neon blue tetra, the creme de la creme. These are a beautiful fish found in the heart of the Amazon rainforest. You can find them all over the northern and central Amazon, as well as parts of Peru and Colombia they even sneak into. And these are easy to tell from the Cardinal Tetras because their fins are actually clear. So they don't have any of the red in their caudal peduncle tail fin there. And they also have just a very light kind of translucent, I don't know if it's a gray or blue. Some people say it's slightly magenta in their dorsal fin, as well as their stabilizing fins or their paired fins on the back there. But it's only present when they're colored up, and the rest of the time they look completely translucent, and they've got silver and kind of a metallic color on the head, as well as the central forward belly, and the blue extends pretty much the full length of the body, whereas the red only extends to about the anal fin on the fish there, almost to the pelvic fins or paired fins there. So another great fish that you'd want to keep in a community, and this is the Paracheirodon innesi, and it's another beautiful fish that I highly recommend. These can take a wide different range of tolerances, from fully tropical hot tanks with discus up in the 85-86 degree range, all the way down to the 72 degree range or so in that subtropic to entry-level tropical range. They're going to do just fine. But they're a beautiful fish. They school fairly tightly, and they're definitely a must-have, coming in varieties with long fins, as well as albino, leucistic, and the diamond head, sometimes crystal head, depending on where you're at in the country or the world. But those are domestic variations of this beautiful standby in the hobby. So another great fish. And the easy way to tell it apart is it's got the red, silver, or white if you want to call it that, and blue, whereas the cardinals are the blue and red with the tail that's red. And the greens are just like, the green neon tetras are just like these, only a little bit slimmer and skinnier. They can take a little cooler temperatures and a little bit lower pH, liking black water even more than these, which these guys like as well. And they have the green and turquoise coloration that's very prominent from above, which these guys... Alright, so we're in luck today. We actually have the diamond head neon blue tetras in the store today, and these are a beautiful fish. They're an extension of the wild caught, usually neon blue tetra that has been selected for in captivity for that extra blue stunning head, and to kind of breed that line down the length of the fuselage or the body, to breed it into more of just the head. But another beautiful fish, and this one with a little bit of help from humans, but still from that same wild lineage. And when we get back to my place, I will show you guys some of the long fin versions of the Paracheirodon innesi, which is what these are, and what the neon blue tetras are, obviously. Great fish.
Right, so we're in for a treat. We've got the an albino neon tetra here, also at Aquarium Zen. They seem to have it all. And these are they happen in the wild, but they get eaten very quickly. These are actually probably not a true albino. They're probably a leucistic variation, which means they still have the blue eyes, the pigment in their eyes. Whereas leucistic, they may have some coloration of yellows and things, but they're lacking their black, their red, and other colors. Any red you see in these fish is going to be from the actual blood circulating in their body. So these ones are fairly easy to identify compared to the others on the list, obviously. But they are in captivity. They've been selectively bred and survive due to man's help and not being eaten by wild whatever may be out there to eat them. So these are another great fish. A little bit fuller bellies. You also see that in the long fin variety of neon blue tetras, or Paracheirodon innesi. You see that they've got kind of a balloon body when you see the long fin varieties usually. There's actually two. There's a long fin and then there's a goldfish or veil fin long body that occur in Europe but are very rare to the hobby in the US. Whereas these leucistic, or albino as they're often just called generically, neons are more common now in the US. You can find them more often, although they still are a bit hard to find. But they radiate a beautiful color, and if you've got a good light like this ADA pendant light here, man, you can really get the color shining on these fish. And same with really all tetras, all fish in general. The lighting does a lot for them. But as far as their biology goes, they're a little more fragile when they're these domestic lines. But for the most part, they're a hardy community fish that's peaceful and has the same water parameters as listed in previously for the blue neon tetra. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and come check out Aquarium Zen next time you guys are in Seattle.
Alright, to bring it home, we have the blue neon tetra, but this is the veil tail or long fin variant. Now this has become fairly common in Asia and Europe, but it's still pretty uncommon in the United States. I was able to get it through redfishbluefish.shop. My buddy Jason owns a shop that imports rare European fish, and that is the result, is I have some of these amazing fish. But as you can see, they're pretty similar to either the diamond or the neon blue tetra. They've got the blue stripe up on top, a red stripe that only goes half their body, and then they've got a pretty substantial belly on them. Now these guys are a little more delicate, and I'm actually in the process of moving, so these guys need to be taken out and put into their own care. The parameters are pretty standard. I would say that you probably don't want to let them get quite as cold as 72 like some neon tetras, green or blue, can sometimes handle. These guys probably should stay closer to 76, but yet again, a beautiful fish. You have to be a little bit careful with their finnage because it can get nipped by aggressive fish and then get infected on you. But this is domestic breeding. This is the result of a mutation that was selected for. So just another beautiful fish to close out the series on the variants of these fish that are often misunderstood or confused with one another. Now you can see the red actually does go out into the tail a bit on some of these, and yet again, that's from the selective breeding. It's not natural. You know, they usually don't have that pronounced red out into the tail. Usually that's kind of a sign of the Cardinal Tetras more so. And you can also see that kind of balloon body that you see in the albino or in the diamond head variants, like we saw earlier. So if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and click the little bell and the little alert to let you know when new stuff's coming out. And if you want to support the channel, there's links below, both to shopping with any of Aquatic Arts or any of my affiliate links, as well as obviously you can support me on Patreon if you'd like to do that. But no worries either way, or becoming a member is the last thing I suppose you could do, which is helpful. $1.99, you get all the behind the scenes research, and all that gets posted on the community tab of YouTube for y'all, so you can do a deeper dive on your own, as well as buy some of the fish that I breed. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.